Kevin J. Johnston, the #1 name in the land of the North, he's risen to fame. 40 years deep in the law he's read. Now the CRA shakes in fear and dread. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the fight doesn't end. Corporate debt, he'll make it all good. He's the man the CRA misunderstood. Payroll problems, they vanish like mist when Kevin shows up with his legal fist. No more matching, no more lies, just clean-cut books and clear blue skies. Stop paying tax forever, my friend. With Kevin J. Johnston, the rules start to bend. The CRA can scream and shout, but Kevin knows how to throw them out. They claim they've got the final say, but Kevin proves there's a better way. He fights for truth, he fights for you, and teaches what the courts won't do. Forever today. Let Kevin J. Johnston show you the way. The expert, the rebel, the man with a plan. He's saving this nation, one client per hand. He's got 40 years of tax law knowing and corporate skills that keep cash flowing. GST, payroll, all in line. He'll save your neck and every dime. He studied law, both civil crime, and makes tax code sound so sublime. With stand-up jokes and punchlines tight, he makes your seminar a night of light. Kevin J, Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin J. 2 million women cast their vote, said Kevin's hot, that's all she wrote. The suits at CRA can't compete, he's beaten them clean without deceit. 100 mil he's saved so far, he's raising truth like a legal star. And if you think you owe the state, he'll show you how to terminate. Kevin J, Kevin J, CRA just runs away. He's the tax manslayer with a legal plan, the best-looking genius in the land. Kevin J, taking all your tax away. If the government's scared, then it's safe to say he's the hero of the North, Kevin.
Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to the Tax and Money Show that runs every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight, we're going to be talking about 10 ways to get rich in Canada. That is correct. You can actually get wealthy in Canada. I know this because we are making our clients wealthy here all of the time. So let's talk about this tonight. Again, my name is Kevin J. Johnston, and I love talking about taxes. Yes, this used to be a political show, but there is no money in politics, and I've been following politics for 25 years full time. It's enough, man. It is enough. Remember, I used to do a podcast 5 days a week talking about politics, and more politics. And it can get to you, because let me tell you this, there is a consistency in politics that I don't like, and that's the human friggin' race. People in politics don't change. Everybody's full of crap all the time. No matter how pious they might seem or how mature they might seem, they're all full of crap. So I did my last political show, and I'll tell you why that happened, because I know some of you have been asking me why I don't do political shows anymore. First off, they don't make money. There's no way to make a living talking politics. Anyone can talk politics. I know what I'm talking about. Most people don't. But how do you sell a political show to someone? Hi guys, I'm some middle-aged dude sitting at a desk talking about politics. Please make me rich. It doesn't work that way. Also, there was a politician. I'm not going to name the individual. They were supposed to come on my show, but then they backed out last second because I had the temerity to call the mayor of a select city a pedo, which of course he is. And this individual thought maybe it might hurt her reputation coming on the show. And I thought, you know what? I'm done. This individual had originally contacted me to get exposure for her particular cause in politics, and then chickens out. And that was not the first time people had chickened out, by the way. There's a lot of people that would book time on my political show and just not show up. And when they would cite, well, Kevin, you said that thing, that time, that place, and people may not like it. It's not a good scene. So now we do nothing but tax and money, hence the name Tax and Money Show. That answers that. Now, I need everybody out there. If you're watching here on Instagram, if you're watching up here on Kick, if you're watching here on TikTok, and anywhere else here, DLive, Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, anywhere else, I need all of you to phone somebody for me. That's right. This individual here, his name is Mark MacDonald. He is an auditor, special case officer, loser. Another loser. Now, the story goes with this guy. I bought a corporation, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, I guess. And this guy called me saying that he wanted me to do the taxes on the corporation. I said, nah, I got like 12 boxes full of stuff. I'm not doing that. Well, what did you get out of the deal? I said, well, not really any of your business. But if you must know, I got a plasma torch out of it, and I sold the plasma torch for a pretty good profit. Thank you for asking. And that's that. So as the conversations got older and older and went on and on and on, what he started doing was harassing a few of my clients, and my clients had enough. So they called the cops on this guy, which is what I had suggested. And then this guy who called me 54 times, and then we've had like 5 or 6 more conversations since then, tells me that I'm too annoying to speak to on the phone, and I can only send him things by fax. So I did send him something by fax, which you can see on Instagram and on my Rumble channel. And I think it'll be on TikTok tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, where the letter just tells him that he's a beta cuck and a loser. And there's an illustration of a Pac-Man eating a phallus. And the arrow says that he's the Pac-Man, and the arrow says that I'm the phallus. And I'm telling him in this letter that he has to do something. He has to prove to the world he has some kind of authority. He cannot let me continue to mock him and to mock the CRA, or else, I mean, people are just going to catch on to the fact that they are nothing and nobody. So I'm now referring to this guy as my little bitch. And I know that TikTok doesn't like that word, but that's exactly what I called him a few times in my letter. Now, Mark MacDonald is continuing to harass people. He doesn't call me because I know the rules and I know the laws, but he does call other people. He was calling and threatening a client of mine and actually called him an effing a-hole and hung up the phone. I mean, that's how this guy behaves. So I would like all of you to write this phone number down in the chat rooms right now. All of you, please. 236 464 3061. Mark McDonald, that is the auditor who is criminally harassing all kinds of people and issuing all kinds of threats. I would like each and every one of you to make a phone call to this guy. And just like we talked about with the auditor last week, ask him questions. Why are you a criminal? Why do you threaten people? Did you know the Income Tax Act does not pertain to we the people? Why do you continue to commit fraud and extortion and intimidation? Why do you break the law? Ask him questions. Just keep his phone ringing 24 hours a day. Fill his voicemail up. Just keep it going. This guy, I promise you, is going to lose his cool with you. And the funniest phone call, record it. Submit it to me. Now, get me the MP3 file, please, through my website. The funniest phone call with this guy is going to get not $100, but $200. That's right. I'm going to pay the funniest call with this idiot $200. You see, if all of us did this collectively, oh, the mouse, right there. Good question. He caught me. If we all of us spent our time crank calling and just needling all these CRA auditors on their phone numbers all of the time, they do not have time to contact we the people and harass we the people. And this is exactly what we all need to be doing, is filling their voicemail, keeping their phones ringing off the hook. So one more time, everyone, this is the letter that I sent to him. You can read it on my Facebook, on my Instagram, it's on all my platforms. Just read it, enjoy the letter. Mark MacDonald, it's Mark with a C, MacDonald, not McDonald, at 236. Everyone, put this in the chat one more time so that we all call this guy. 236 464 3061. Make some money, guys. I'm paying money to those of you who get the best reactions out of these criminals that work for the CRA, an institution that has no authority whatsoever. So I performed a bit of an exercise this morning. I woke up early. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep, got up, went over to ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT, yes, and I know the sound is terrible tonight, folks. I am very sorry about that. I am going to rectify that problem. For next show, promise you, it'll all be solved. So I got to ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT, give me 10 legal ways that Canadians can make money. And it came up with really stupid suggestions. And it was constantly telling me that you had to pay tax, that there were tax benefits to select things. You had to pay tax. You got to pay tax, blah, 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 tax. Something that I, of course, completely and totally disagree with. You do not have to pay tax in Canada. It is absolutely insane to think that you do. So I took those same slides or the same information and made them into slides, but I altered them to the reality of the situation. You want to get wealthy in Canada? Let's go through it now, and then we'll take questions for the last half hour of tonight's show. All righty, slide number 1. Remain silent about your earnings and your success. That is correct. So what do? Work hard, earn some money. Invest your money, earn some more money. Invest your earnings, earn some more money. But shut the hell up about everything that you're doing, because jealousy and taxes lead to more taxes. Now I'm going to explain that. Let's just talk about jealousy here for a second. I no longer have what you would call good friends. I'm done. I'm done with the whole friends thing. I am quite content to live life alone in my private time because I have the honor, the extreme pleasure of being able to talk to my kids on the phone every single night or in the chat rooms every single night, which is my greatest pleasure. I had a lot of friends in the past, maybe more so acquaintances and whatnot, who, when they would see me with a little bit of success, not much, just a little bit, they'd start stealing. They'd start complaining to me about their lives. They would start to sabotage my life. That's exactly what happened. So a lot of you remember there was a guy named Derek I used to work with. He was the producer for my show. He got jealous of the show's success. So he was actually for 10 straight weeks deliberately sabotaging the show, and then told me it was my fault because I wasn't paying attention to his defiance. Thinking, wait, what are you, some kind of teenage girl, and you're hinting that you're mad at me? So I had to get rid of him. I had to get rid of a lot of people. I had my supposed best friend. This guy's name was Robert Johnston, no relation to me. He repaid all the legal work I had done for him and 25 years of friendship by trying to weasel his way into stealing my house. And I was married at the time, stealing my wife. So, of course, I had to deal with this idiot. Okay, I get it, people. Let me just unplug the microphone here and see if this makes a difference. I'm going to get rid of the dongle, everyone. So terribly sorry. Give me a second here. I was afraid this was going to happen. Check, check, check. Is that any better, folks? Check, check, check. If anyone on TikTok there could let me know. Yeah, all right. So it's a piece of crap microphone. Let me just throw this thing across the room so that it never bothers us again. All right, very good. Watch this. Ready? Here it goes. Gone. All right. So this guy, my best friend, supposed best friend, he saw me at a very low point in life. I was at a very low point in life and tried to take my house and take my wife. That's what friends do when they perceive you as having success. So as Jordan Peterson said, there's friends of yours out there. You really got to pay attention. When you bring good news to a friend of yours, if their reaction is not like, hey, man, that's great, high five, handshake, slap on the back, let's go get some wings and celebrate. If it's not something like that, then they're not happy for you. And you got to stay away from people like that. So your successes are going to have to be private, or at least as private as they need to be for you to protect what you got. What I also meant by I say jealousy and taxes lead to more taxes. We've talked about the CRA. They've got the index. They call it the client index, and I rightfully call it the sucker index. The sucker index is a number from 000 to 999. Now, some people out there say, Kevin, that's fiction. It doesn't exist. Well, how do you think that they know to call you for money? Why do you think they don't call me for money? All right, here's the way that it works. If they jump on the phone with you and you're apologetic or you're panicking or afraid, your number goes up. Yeah, it goes up. If you tell them sob stories or you fill out forms looking for leniency, your number goes up. They know that you're weak and that they will just go on the attack. If you give the money, if you give the CRA money, your sucker index just skyrockets. It goes right to 700, maybe higher, and they're always going to bother you. But if you are rude and crass and loud and racist on the phone, they give up. Your number drops. That's how it has to be. So I want to say there that if you pay tax and if you report tax and if you're showing the CRA or any branch of government that you have success, it's going to lead to more tax. They're going to be, thinking, oh boy, this guy, he's making money. Let's get some money out of this guy. Yeah, money, 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 money. That's how they see things, which is why we're going to cover all of this. There's 9 more slides to go, 9 more rules to make money and keep it. Why you have to be silent about your successes. And I also would go out of my way to state that unless you are a very big mouth like me and a very obnoxious public figure like me, and unless you absolutely adore negative attention like me, and unless you absolutely adore chaos like me, then I do highly recommend that you keep all of your successes off of social media as well. And that is one of the biggest issues here, is that everybody brags about what they've got and what they're doing and who they're talking to all over social media. I find it a little odd that everybody wants to brag to the entire world about absolutely everything. Now, I've just recently had a very interesting Canadian celebrity. I'm not naming it because I do not ever name my clients. And as I'm speaking with this particular individual, cool guy, so he's male, he was asking me if I thought posing with him would boost my business right across the country for taxes. I said, of course it would. But the last thing that we're going to do here is connect you to me in the public sphere, because the CRA will make an announcement that now they wish to take you down only because you're dealing with me. They won't be able to because I'm on your side. So I said, with respect, I don't want any photographs of you and I together in the same room. We're not doing selfies. We're not doing handshake videos. You're not going to promote me in any way, and I'm not going to promote you in any way. We agreed. You're never going to know who it is. All right. I'm just saying that I'm not going to be bragging about who this individual is and what they could possibly do for me. It is going to harm me, not help me, and harm the client and not help the client. All this bragging that everybody does hurts. So make money. Shh. All right. Don't pay tax, and shh about that. Be successful. Shh. Don't brag. Period. Figure out, what you could test all your friends. You could test them all. And say, you're not going to believe this. I just signed a $260,000 contract. See what the reaction is. If they ask you to borrow money within the first 2 weeks, dust them. Just dust them. This is someone whose life is not going the way they want it to, and they're going to be looking for some kind of free ride. I have had a number of so-called friends of mine call me up asking me to lend them money. Now, the temerity to ask me to lend you $350,000 so you can buy a house. I said, no problem. I'll charge you 21% interest, and I'll put a $500,000 lien on the house. What? We're friends. We've known each other for so long. Well, yeah, okay. 4 years. I've never asked you for 350 grand. Why are you asking me for that? And you want it just loaned to you. I'm into business, guys. It's all about money. So please do be careful with friends. You're going to find that many friends of yours are just so-called friends. And if you can avoid jealousy, then you will be able to keep the money that you make. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, keep all your questions for the last half hour of the show. I have 9 more slides to get through. So number 2, this is how you get rich in Canada. 2, earn through capital gains and not through salary. So what do you do? If you have money to invest, you can invest through your corporation, and I agree with this, into stocks, crypto, real estate, or private ventures. Now, I'm less than interested in private ventures. I'm very interested in real estate and crypto. All right, so then it also says here, time sales for capital gain treatment. Now, that's kind of irrelevant. I'll tell you why. Because if I'm your tax guy, we're not going to be reporting any capital gains of any kind. Capital gains are great, and you'll be rich in Canada if you stay silent about your capital gains. So if you did want to invest in anything and not waste your time with a salary, this is how you do it. You get a corporation going, you get the investments up and running, and you start making money, and do not pay yourself a salary, period. You don't want to be on the Canadian T4 or the Canadian T4A form or a Canadian T5. You just do not want to be on any of that. It's pointless, because a corporation, if you do it right, never pays tax. But if you put yourself on T4, now the corporation has to pay 3 taxes and you got to pay 4. So you go from no tax to 7 taxes just because you put yourself onto a T4 or a T4A or a T5. So that is what you would want to do there. Now, it also says the tax avoided, there's no payroll tax. That is correct. There's no personal income tax on realized gains. That is also correct. And only 50% of capital gains are taxable. But again, time and time again, I've said this, and I'll keep saying this to you. In Canada, there is not one law, not a law anywhere on the books that says that you absolutely have to report your capital gains to the CRA. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you to steal your money. So please remain silent about what you have. Do open corporations. Do invest heavily. Do all of these things, but remain silent about it. Let's finish off this slide if we could here. Now it says, why does it work? Now this is ChatGPT telling us this. Why it works. The capital gains inclusion rate is far more favorable than salary or business income. Okay, it is correct that, let's just say you wanted to be a good little sheep and do all of your taxes. Sure, it would be better for you to pay a capital gain only on the profit of the investment rather than paying on your salary. Sure, it does make sense. But because you don't have to report the capital gain or even do a corporate tax return in the first place, none of that matters. And that's where ChatGPT gets it wrong, because ChatGPT and DeepSeek.ai and all the others out there are actually looking at the Income Tax Act and misinterpreting the Income Tax Act as law and then telling you what you have to do. And actually, why don't all of you right now ask ChatGPT if the Canadian Income Tax Act is a law or just simply suggestions. Let's see what it says. I'm really curious to see what it says. So back to what I was saying there. You do not report your earnings of capital gains and non-salary to the CRA. If I am your tax guy, there will be no taxes being filed to do with your capital gain. I do not believe at all that the CRA is entitled to the sweat of your brow. There was a day when taxes did go into infrastructure. Your taxes did go into hospitals. Your taxes did go into an education that was at best. But now your taxes go into indoctrination and not education. No new highways in Canada in 10 years. No new airports. In fact, we got 3 airports in the country that are obsolete and falling apart. No new bridges of any consequence, no new drawbridges of consequence, no new public works projects that actually help the country out, except for one hydroelectric dam that the Eskimos said they did not want. And that is ridiculous. So we are forcing Eskimos to accept the fact that we are, ready for this, that we are going to build this dam and we're going to make you buy electricity from this multi-billion-dollar dam. And they're saying they don't want it. And the Canadian government did it anyway. It is crazy to think about how the country is run. Now, this is why I want Alberta and Saskatchewan to split from Canada and join the United States under the Trump administration, because at least then they would have a chance. Now, Owl House and a few other people there, you've all said that ChatGPT says the Income Tax Act is a law. And that is the problem with current AI. I'm going to give you another example of what I'm talking about when it comes to AI and how biased it really is. The coders are biased. So after this morning, this great video popped up where this lady was interviewing people saying, what do you think of Governor DeSantis of Florida's new law where you can drive your car through protesters who are getting in your way? And like one guy says, I just came down here, got myself a 6-pack. I'm all set to go. They'll blue hair, man. Yeah, they're going to hear them all down. Yeah, that's what they're talking. So the interview, there's like 15 people that all said that they're filling up their gas tanks and they're putting on the rims and they're putting on their racks and they're all set to drive through. So to make us a quick social commentary on that, I asked ChatGPT to create a Generation 3 Camaro, just like Smokey and the Bandit, driving through a whole bunch of protesters, and it says it can't. A whole bunch of LGBTQ protesters, and it says that it can't. It can't do that because it's violence. I said, fine, same thing except Trump protesters. What does it do? It creates a Camaro blowing right through Trump protesters, and there's bodies in the air. So the bias of ChatGPT is actually horrendous. It's useful for some things, but terrifying for others, with the left wing running the show. It is horrendous. Okay, next slide, everybody. Rule number 3 to get rich in Canada: flip real estate in a corporation. Oh yeah, we've talked about this many times on the show, and we're just going to keep talking about it until it sinks in. So what do? You're going to buy properties via a corporation, renovate them, and flip them, or you can assign purchase or rental contracts on them through the corporation. Oh yeah. Okay, everyone. This is now where I'm going to blow your minds. As all of you know, I have a criminal lawyer that I keep on retainer. He costs me a couple of bucks a year, which is fine. His job, when I call him with one of my wild and crazy ideas on how to beat the system, is to find a way to make it illegal. And if he comes back to me saying, "Now, Kev, you can't do it," there's a 1% chance you'll get arrested for it. But when he comes back and says, "There's nothing on the books," that says you can't do this. Yeah, great. So we go ahead and do it. Now, you want to get rich in the property market, everybody? Here's what really sucks in Canada about being a landlord is there's a lot of bad people from bad countries who have come to the conclusion that Canadian-born people are cowardly and won't do anything about them not paying rent. The law also says because Canada is a cold country, you can't kick somebody out of a rental from November 1st to May 31st. Yeah, so they can live for free all winter long. That's not the contract that you signed. And if you kick the door down and beat the living hell out of them and throw them out, somehow you're wrong. Well, how would you like to not ever have that problem again? You can have tenants without having a tenant board written lease. I just invented this. I cooked this idea up. It took my lawyer about 6 weeks to come back with an answer, and he came back with an answer. So, everybody, if you have a rental house, you're going to buy the rental house and you're going to put it into a numbered corporation. When you get renters, what we're going to do is make the renters who want the place register their own numbered corporation. Now, what we do here is typically in a rental situation, I always take first, last, and second month's rent in advance. But what I would do is I would give them a bit of a break on month number 2 because they've got to register the corporation. So I'll say I'll take half of first month, all of second, and all of last in advance. You get yourself a corporation. Now, this is where it gets awesome, is that their corporation is renting my house as commercial space from my corporation. Then the perk of this business to business deal taking place is that the owner of the corporation and his immediate family and cat can live in the house. Because it's business to business, the Landlord Tenancy Act of any province does not apply. So if they're late 10 days or more with rent, out, gone, because the contract will state, we will take the doors right off, we will take the windows out of their frames, and we will remove your stuff. They sign on the dotted line stating that the corporation agrees with this. Yeah. And with this, everyone, it's all going to be done online. So we're developing it now. I figure it's going to be ready for October, November of this year. Perfect for the winter rental season. And it's going to be a simple flat rate of like between 100 and 150 bucks for this contract to be enforced through our website. And you'll have access to our lawyers to get the people out who are not paying. I'm changing how everything is done. I would love to see all of you in Canada making money. If you're buying a house, you don't want freeloading jerks to be in your house taking advantage of you. You got into business to make money, and the Canadian government stops you from stopping others from stealing from you. Yeah, it is ridiculous. And just to give you a prime example of what I'm talking about, when I got hit in the head with a brick back during the mayor run, all right, what did I do? You guys saw me do it on camera. I picked the guy up who hit me with the brick, and I threw him down on the ground, and I'm the one that wore handcuffs. That's how Canada functions. It's okay to get hit. It's not okay to retaliate. It's okay to move into someone's house, but it's not okay to evict them. Yeah, the laws in Canada are absolutely backwards. Now that it's a business-to-business deal, we just eliminated the problem. And this is what I do, folks. I strategize and I solve problems. So that is how you're going to get wealthy, by buying houses that you want to rent out. Let's talk a bit more here. So ChatGPT says that the taxes avoided, it avoids personal tax when you do this at a marginal rate up to 53% in Ontario, and no principal residence exemption abuse that can trigger audits. Right. This is what ChatGPT doesn't understand, is that if you have a house in a numbered corporation, everybody, you can make money on that house. We're not going to report it. So this 53% tax nonsense that it keeps talking about is not going to happen. In Canada, if you do your first tax return on a corporation, you're signing a contract with the CRA. If you never do your first tax return, there's no contract and you just pocket all the money. And the rest of what it says there is that it can trigger audits. Well, we've already gone through this. You see me writing letters to auditors with fallacies on them. and Pac-Man eating that type of thing. You hear me calling auditors my little bitch. You hear me calling them everything under the sun. You probably read the letters where I told a couple of auditors to dine ferociously on the fecal matter that may or may not have been deposited on their front porch. These are the things that we can do. These people have no power. So it does not matter that auditors exist within the CRA. What matters here is that you just simply tell them, get lost, or you can hire me and I'll get rid of them. We put no trespassing notices all over your property. They can't even step on the property. If they do, call 911. Just like that, 911, and the cops will escort them off your land. So we don't care if an audit gets triggered. We do not care. All right. Rudy, ask all your questions after we got through all 10 of these rules, if you could, please. So ChatGPT says why it works. It's done through a corporation. You're taxed at small business rates instead of brutal personal tax rates. I added to that saying, or do not report to the CRA. That's easier. It's a whole lot, thank you, Sia. It's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot more advantageous and profitable if you just shh about what you make. Buy a house, put it in a corporation, tell no one. Remember what we said on slide number 1? Don't tell your friends, hey guys, you're not going to believe this. I just bought a rental house. Come on over and check it out. No, don't do that. No, nobody should know except your next of kin if you trust them enough to hand it down to them. Then they should know about it because they need to know how to maintain it after you're gone. It is that simple. Way number 4 to get rich in Canada. I've talked about this many times. Hide all of your assets in numbered corporations. What to do? Make a list of all of your assets. Just write it down. Little dollar store book and a pen. Homes, cottages, cars, gold, gems, crypto, collectibles, out-of-country property, out-of-country land, cash. All of this stuff needs to be moved into a numbered corporation. One that you are not doing business in. Do not ever put any assets into any corporation in Canada that you're doing business in. Always keep the earnings completely separate from everything else. So if you put all your personal assets into one corporation, then none of it, like the license plates don't line up to your name and the ownership records don't line up to your name. And what you do is you just buy one blanket insurance policy through the corporation for every single thing that you list there. And it's really cool because if the corporation has all that stuff listed for insurance purposes, then nobody knows you have it. You're not going to say, yeah, hi, this corporation is in my house and it's with me and I have all my stuff and I put my stuff into this corp. No, what you do is say, hey, my name is, our office address is, and here's everything that we own and we'd like an insurance policy on it, please. That's how you do it. So the insurance policy through a corporation is going to be a whole lot cheaper than extended contents insurance on your house. There we are. Also, last thing, I want to really point this out here. With photo radar all over Canada and with highways like the 407 and all these toll booths that you drive through and it snaps your plate, all that nonsense, what we want to do is make sure that your license plates are always to a numbered corporation. So that way, when it comes time to renew your plate, if you got like $20,000, $30,000 worth of fines on your license plate, you simply transfer ownership of the car to a different numbered corporation, get new plates for it, and start the process over. The other thing is, and this is where it just drives me mental, is there's so many angry losers on the road. They make phone calls, 911. There's some guy and he changed lanes and I'm afraid and I'm angry because he's got a nicer car than me. You know, and Canadian cops, they will investigate this stuff. If you complain about someone's driving, they will investigate. They'll take the plate number down and they'll look into it and they'll show up at your house and ask you all kinds of questions, to which, of course, you've got the right to remain silent. But I remember they did this with a friend of mine. For those who know the province of Ontario, we lived in the city of Mississauga, right beside Toronto, and his motorcycle was in a city called Barrie, B-A-R-R-I-E, which was an hour north. And yes, by my admission. I was on the back of the seat. I don't like being on the back of this. I don't like riding bitch on a motorcycle, but yeah, he was driving like an ass. He was. And someone saw it, and someone reported the fact that he was fishtailing and spitting up dust and whatnot. And he was, but they reported it. A year later, they finally figured out who owned the corporation that the bike was registered. It took them a year to figure it out. And then they said, somebody complained, like June 3rd last year, that you were spinning tires. Like, guys, it's a company bike. We got 50 people that work here. I've got no clue who's riding that bike. Sorry. Get lost. That's what he said to them. It's great. That's how you do it. Yes. And you're right, Sia. They will investigate that kind of nonsense. They won't investigate real crime. So if your license plates are not in your name, which they should never be, you can never be sent to collections for it personally. And so long as you're not the director of the corporation, and a whole bunch of fictional people are, well, they can chase them. They can chase Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and the Incredible Hulk for your tax bills and for your tolls. Good luck. So protect yourselves, everybody. ChatGPT says, moving all of them into a numbered corporation, it acts like a holding company. ChatGPT got that one right. And I'm saying, and, not or, and do not report to the CRA. Why would you tell the CRA that you have a holding company and list the assets that you have? Do you want to be stolen from? Do you want them calling you saying, give us money? Guys, shut up. Stop talking. You cannot tell them these things. Please do not. Way number 5 to get rich in Canada. Run a cash-heavy business with deductible expenses. Now, I'm going to debunk this one. These are my slides. But remember, this was me asking ChatGPT to find 10 ways to make money in Canada. And it quoted rules, not laws. Alrighty. It says what to do. Run businesses like construction, landscaping, cleaning, or hospitality. Keep expenses high and claim legitimate write-offs like vehicles, home offices, and meals. Sure. And every single tool of the trade, grooming expenses, you can put that down for marketing. Marketing could easily be between 50 and 60% of your entire budget. Yeah, okay. So it got that part of it right. And a cash-heavy business, landscaping, people make cash deals all the time. Do you think I care one bit if you're not paying tax on a cash job? If you're cutting someone's grass and they want to pay you $100 and it's 113 with GST and they give you 100, take it. Mark the invoice paid and shred the invoice when you get back. It's really that easy, guys. Cash heavy. So you would do that. And it's saying, write everything off. But if I'm your tax guy, I'm writing not only everything off that you've actually spent, but I'm going to add my consultation time to it. And my consultation time could be as high as 150 grand. And all that gets written off. Wink, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I would like to see all of you in industries where you can charge cash. And the truth is, you can charge cash with any industry. When I grew up, anybody who knows the city of Mississauga, what you could do is look up the elementary school I went to. It's called St. Gerard. It's on McBride Avenue. Right across the road is the crappiest, sleaziest plaza in Canada. It's horrible. It had a Becker's and 2 convenience stores right beside each other and 2 barber shops right beside each other and a dentist. It was this really weird plaza. All right. So in this really weird plaza, there was this Chinese dude that ran his business. And what he would do is we'd buy stuff and he would just make change and close the register. He would never type anything in. I'm thinking, why is he doing that? So I watched him for a little bit, and it was like every 5th to 10th transaction, he would actually put it through the register. And everything else was just giving people cash. That's all it's his business. He can do what he wants. I just thought it was hilarious. And I was figuring it out when I was very young, watching what other people were doing. If you've got a convenience store and you want to do that, go ahead. If you've got a service-based business, dog washing, dog haircutting, massage therapy, take cash or take crypto or take PayPal, whatever else. Why would you want to report this stuff? If I'm your tax guy, you'll still pay no tax anyway. Pocket the money. The money that you're paying to the CRA right now leaves Canada anyway. It just goes into war zones around the world, and it just goes into the really weird and sick things that Mark Carney and his husband do. So let's just not give these people money anymore. All right, there we go. So it continues to say this. Tax avoided. Lower net income means lower corporate tax. You're not paying tax on revenue, only profit. Okay, so if we did things the way the CRA wants, sure, that's correct. It says also why it works. Strategic expense management shrinks your taxable income. Well, I'll go one step further. Or just don't report it to the CRA. Ta-da! Everybody out there who does tax returns in Canada, you are voluntarily handing over information about you that hurts you. So if you've ever wondered why, oh my God, I can't get ahead, I'm paying so much tax. It's because you're snitching on yourself. Why would you do that? I learned very young that telling the truth had zero rewards. All right. My brother and I had 2.5 years difference between us. Now, when I was 4, I would really take offense to my brother hitting me with a toy. Okay. I'd hit him back and he'd start crying. So my father would yell. What happened? I would say, Greggy hit me and I hit him back. I told the truth. Boom. He came storming down the stairs. Whack, whack, whack. So after about 3 times of this, I figured out, he dropped a car on his own head. No wax. All right. So at age 4, I had already figured out that there was absolutely zero advantage to being honest in any particular walk of life. Now, I'm not saying commit fraud. I am not saying go to your customers and lie to your customers and commit fraud, because that's actually a crime. But when you're dealing with people who have absolutely no right to be doing what they are doing, don't cooperate with them. Don't make it easy for them. You know, when security guards in malls get all tough and they take out their notebook, what's your name? Hey, really? Yeah, my name is your mama. That's my name. Go, I'm not going to ask you again. You're going to tell me your name. No, I'm not going to tell you my name. Yeah, you gotta react like that. No, I'm not telling you my name. It doesn't matter how forceful they are and how much they need you or they say they need you to pass this information on. Stop snitching on yourself. You know, my name has been your mama for a very long time. Sometimes my name is go F yourself. And once in a while, I remember when they would ask, what's your parents' name? My dad's name? Dad. Well, what's your mother's name, smartass? Mom. None of your business. Don't share information with anyone. Stop snitching on yourself. So if you're going to be running, like I said, a very, very heavy, cash-heavy business, like construction, anything in the service industry, and even restaurants. I've set a number of restaurants up that have 3 cash registers, all right? And only one of them does sales that we would actually report to the CRA, and the other 2 are for internal use only. Wink, a wink, all right? Which means that the restaurant gets to keep the money on those 2 tills. I mean, there you go. Keep money. Restaurant industry, it's hospitality. It can be heavy cash, especially if you've got a really good bartender who knows how to throw bottles and put on a good show. People will sit there and watch the bartender do stuff and slap cash down. Good. Keep the cash. It's yours. Please stop giving money to the CRA. They don't deserve it, and it's not going into anything that benefits Canadians in any way. Point number 6 on how to get rich in Canada. This is what ChatGPT said, and I'm going to build upon it. Move to Panama, so I guess it knows who I am, or any tax haven, and keep your Canadian corporation. I actually happen to agree with this one fully. So it says what to do. Run businesses like construction, landscaping, cleaning, hospital. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's the wrong information. What it was, my bad. What it was saying to us was that tax haven countries are where you need to go. Now, I'm going to explain tax haven countries to you. Panama and Paraguay are the same when it comes to tax havens. So as a gringo, all right, if you've got that lovely white skin, or you don't have lovely white skin, but you speak that lovely English in a perfect American Canadian accent, or even an Aussie or a British accent, They love you. All right. They love you. They love you here. And even more so in Paraguay. Right? Hey, it's a gringo. He speaks English. Right? They want to do business. You get yourself a corporation down here and you get yourself a bank account and you do business whilst you are inside the country. And every penny that you make that's from outside of the country. So Panama, Paraguay, same thing. If you make money from outside the country, you can bring it in, put it in the bank. You can declare it, zero tax. Absolutely zero tax. And the other cool part is, like myself, I have several corporations now here in Panama. I have a corporation in Paraguay. I've got a corporation in Mexico for the sole purpose of investing. And I've got corporations in every province of Canada. They're all over the place. I've got corps everywhere. And with the corps being in Canada, I can charge Canadian dollars to my Canadian clients, but eventually move that money into Panama. And I'll be doing all of my invoicing through the Panamanian corporation, which owns my American corporation, which owns all my Canadian corporations. And eventually you will get an invoice from both the Panama and the Canadian corporation. I do bring the money to Panama. It's not being taxed in Canada. It is not considered Canadian earnings. In fact, I kind of declare it as American earnings because I want my green card. So I do pay the IRS a minimal amount, but I do pay them. And I'm utilizing my profits in Canada to benefit me, my corporation, and my entire team of people, because I've got a team, utilizing these methods. So international commerce is a very, very good thing. Now, for those who are watching on YouTube and Twitch and Kick and a few others, yes, I can see your questions. Just like I can see questions on every platform, I'll be answering questions as soon as I get through this presentation. All right. The last half of the show is always always Q&A. All right. So tax havens. If you leave Canada permanently, that's fine. You're under no obligation to tell the Canadian government that you're leaving on a permanent basis. Why would you say, hi, I'm making a big deal and I'm leaving because I don't like you people? Why? Everyone says that you have to do that if you're going to leave for more than 6 months. No, that's not how Canadian citizenship works. Canadian citizenship is yours for the rest of your life as soon as you have it. You actually have to work very hard for 6 months to get it canceled. And even then, there's no guarantee that they're going to revoke your Canadian citizenship. So you can leave and come back. You can leave for 10 years and come back. You can leave for 20 years and come back. Wait a minute. Mark Carney, the current Prime Minister of Canada, left for 10 years, screwed up England, and then moved back to Canada and somehow became Prime Minister. Isn't that interesting? So if he can do that, so can any and all of you. You do not have to cut your ties with the country. Have corporations in Canada that are holding companies only, and you can hold some assets and hold some money in these corporations. You can do business in Canada and just don't report any of it to the CRA. Move it to your Panama, your Mexico, your Barbados accounts, wherever you're living in the world. Move it there. Just be silent when it comes to dealing with the CRA. All right, our next slide here. All right, where are we? Number 7. This is a cool one. This one here, yeah, Texas and Florida, guys, is great. Both states are fantastic for business. Point number 7 to get rich in Canada: sell high-ticket consulting or digital services. So if there is any way for your skill set or your knowledge base to be done digitally, or as I'm doing right now on TikTok and all the other social media platforms out there, then why not? So you can sell courses, webinars. You can have paid groups. You can do consultations, which I do all the time. You can do it in the US, the EU, South America, North America, Russia, wherever you are. You can use Stripe or PayPal or Square or any of these places, and you can transfer the money into a Canadian corporation that you are remaining silent about, or transfer the money anywhere you want. But things like PayPal and Stripe and Square, and even crypto.com now and wise.com, all of these institutions are banks. They are banks. Your money is pretty safe in these places. I don't like PayPal's stupid policies, but it's still a bank, no matter how you look at it. And albeit PayPal has a deal, if you state that you're a Canadian citizen, to tell the CRA you have a PayPal account, If it's a corporate PayPal account, they do not tell the CRA you have it. So everything that you're doing with PayPal should be in a corporation, not in your own personal name. Also, your social insurance number, just go to one of those social insurance number generator websites and generate something for yourself. You should never be giving anyone your real social insurance number ever, period. Alrighty, so ChatGPT says, the taxes avoided are no GST and HST if your clients are foreign. That's correct. There's also no GST or HST if you choose not to charge it, because the CRA does not know what you're up to until you tell them. It says use deductions to drop taxable income. It also says why it works. It's high margin, scalable, and minimizes domestic tax exposure. But I say, and do not report to the CRA. So if you have an international consulting business, or even if you live in Canada and all of your income comes off of Amazon and Flake and all the other weird things out there, whatever you're doing, oh yeah, Shopify, whatever you've got, just shut up about it. Don't report. Pocket the money. That is what you do. Pocket the dough. All right. Next, I think I am missing a slide. Let me see if I've got, sorry guys, it didn't upload slide number 8, and it's uploading now. And here we go. Point number 8 to get rich in Canada. Redo your taxes going back 10 to 20 years. All right. Now, I asked ChatGPT if I could go back 10 to 20 years on personal taxes. ChatGPT said, no, you can only do 3. Oh, is ChatGPT wrong on that? What ChatGPT is referring to is that if you're going to be utilizing the CRA's website to do taxes, then that is only 3 years allowance. But if I'm doing it on paper, I can go back 20 years, absolutely no problem. So I state, and this is me, that ChatGPT got this one wrong. Wrong. I am the only one in the country that does this. So we add all the expenses that you forgot about, or the legal expenses that your accountant was too afraid to claim. And I can get you back at least 50% of all of the taxes that you have paid. Then after we do all that, you stop filing taxes the way that they want you to and start filing your taxes the way that I teach you to. And you will never pay tax in Canada again. We've covered this before. There's only one tax in Canada that I have not yet figured out how to beat, and that's property tax, because the municipalities will be pretty militant about collecting that tax. Why? Because municipalities, for God's sake, sorry guys, I got this stupid puzzle piece thing on TikTok. It's telling me it's not matching up. Unable to verify. You guys ever get this where you're doing a great live and TikTok throws this puzzle piece thing at you? You got to match it up to stay live. That is so annoying. Oh, back to the slide here is we want to make sure that you're just not filing taxes with the CRA, because filing tax with the CRA hurts you. They don't know what you're doing. There's no way for the CRA to know anything that you're doing at all. And as I've told you all before, if the CRA begins to threaten you in any way, shut down the bank account that you have, open up a numbered corporation, and you move the money into that numbered corporation. Or just leave it out as cash until I can solve your tax problems for you. But that is how you get rich in Canada. We go back and get you back at least half the taxes that you've paid over the last 10 years. And if you're making $100,000 a year, then in 10 years, you're paying $265,000 in tax. You can do a lot with that money. I would rather you, the people, have that money as opposed to the Canadian government having any of it. So let's get your taxes. Let's go back 10 years and get your taxes done. That is how you get rich in Canada. Get your taxes done, get your money back, stop paying. Point number 9 on how to get rich in Canada. Open up new corporations, make money, report nothing. And the only note that I've got to say on that on my slide is, yeah, shut up about every single solitary penny that you make. I keep preaching corporations. Corporations are amazing because you have absolutely no liability on you so long as you are not the director. Now, here's how we do it. We register a corporation for you. You have to be the director for about a week to go get bank accounts, but we're also going to list about 5 to 10 other directors. Get your bank accounts opened up. You are off the list. You're off the list. You're no longer a director. And with you no longer being the director, you've got the bank accounts. Now you do whatever you want. Now you can make money and never report it. Pretty cool, huh? So as I've said before, new corporation, never do a tax return. You will never in this lifetime ever pay tax again. You'll never pay tax again. All right. And slide number 10 out of this tonight's show, 10 ways to get rich in Canada. Stop paying tax. There you go. Stop paying tax. Just stop paying tax. What does that mean, everyone? Everything I've already covered. It means all of that. But let's talk to the employers now. You're the people that drive me mental, eh? Just so you know, all the employers out there who insist we have to do source deductions because the government, because the CRA, the government. Think about that. Think about being I'm 54 this year. In fact, I'm about 8 weeks away from being 54. Do you know how unbecoming it is to be a middle-aged guy? I stand 5'6". That's it, 5'6". And I'm seeing men who are 6'1", 6'3", and 6'8", and so on, my age, crying. CRA. We have to deduct taxes and steal from our staff because I don't want an auditor here. You know, I think it's bizarre that it never enters anybody's head to just say, freaking no. We're going to audit you. No, you're not. Well, we're coming. You do that, I got a pair of brass knuckles with your name on it. By all means, walk in the door. And I'll be making sure that I pick up your teeth off my floor and I'm going to put them into a cake. That's right. So you can talk like that to people. And that's not actually a direct threat. To say that your teeth are going to be on the floor, that is not a direct threat. It's just a fact. You know, because it's a mechanic shop, let's say, for example. There's tools, you could trip. It just never enters anyone's head to be tough, to be cold, to be cruel, to be callous. You cannot be wealthy and be nice. There's absolutely no way to be nice and be wealthy. There's also no way to have a job and to be rich. You just can't work for someone else for like 50, 60 grand and get wealthy. Without paying tax, you can keep everything you make and you're going to be much better off than you would normally be, but you're not going to get rich doing that. So we need to get all of you into the mindset of what I've covered here tonight. If there's a way for you to invest, great. We do it through numbered corporations. If there's a way for you to sell your services or your consultation time online, great. Pocket the money, put everything into a corporation. If you need to, fly down to Panama. We can go to see my lawyer. He's right downtown. He'll open up a corp for you and get a bank account going for you. And you can move all of your money out of the country if you're worried about that. There's always a way to defeat the CRA. And so long as you accept the fact that being a monster and lying your ass off to every single branch of government will work. Once you get that in your head, it's good to lie to the government. It's good to lie your ass off to any of these people. Don't lie to cops because they'll call it obstruction of justice or filing a false police report because they're a bunch of babies. But you just say, I don't answer questions. Where's my lawyer? Where's my lawyer? In fact, if you got a cigar, crack it. Where's my lawyer? Where is he? I'm not talking to you. Get your boss out here. Right? Don't answer their questions. Just don't. And as for the CRA or bylaw officers or anyone, just lie. They're useless individuals. So I want all of you to get tough, to get mean, to accept the fact that every single human being in Canada who works for the government is completely bereft of humanity and soul and imagination. And you don't owe people like that a damn thing. They don't serve any purpose at all except to interfere with your life. And I think it's disgusting that it's more than 65% of employees of the Canadian government at all branches are not even born in the country. They have no vested interest in the nation. They have no vested interest in the culture. They just don't get it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You can call me racist all you want. But if I'm in Canada and you don't speak perfect English, I'm not doing a thing you say. Nothing. I'm just going to tell you, get lost. Get out of here. I'm not doing anything you say. If you don't care enough about the nation to learn the language, I am absolutely not listening to you. And I will absolutely tell you that. And I even started more towards my last couple of weeks when I was living in Canada. I started getting very callous with government employees. As all of you know, I'm a jolly guy. I've always got a smile on my face. You guys saw me get, pushed and shoved and kicked and everything else when I was a journalist. And you only ever saw me react to it once. Just once. That's the only time. So I put up with all of it, but I don't do that anymore. I am excessively mean and cold and cruel to these people. When I am on the phone with the CRA representatives, if they don't speak English, I'm either going to have fun with them or I'm just going to absolutely lay into them. And the racist stuff that comes out of my mouth is very disgusting. And I'm very good at getting inside of people's heads. Like my mother always told me, Kevin, you could irritate Jesus. And she wasn't kidding. Be mean. Be a son of a bitch. Be a monster. Take all these tips that I'm giving you tonight, make money, and be quiet about it. Don't share your successes with friends, if you will. Don't tell anyone what you bought. If you bought a new car, don't tell people about it. You buy a rental home or a cottage, don't brag about it. Stop bragging. When someone dies, don't go to Facebook looking for sympathy. Just shut up about your own personal life. This is not the 1970s, folks. Everyone out there is trying their very best to take absolutely everything from you that they possibly can. Everyone's looking for one-upmanship, so don't give it to them. Please, please, I beg you. All right, I've gotten through my 10 slides, so why don't we start taking some questions right here and right now? Michelle Mohammadi. I have a return from an investment. Original amount was $250,000. It returned at $950,000. How do I avoid paying taxes? I got to be your tax guy because that is a significant capital gain. That's congratulations, by the way. Well done. But I got to be your tax guy for that one. You'll pay $0.00 on that capital gain if I am your tax guy. If everyone knows my website address, please just go ahead and put it in the chat, KevinJJohnston.com, KevinJJohnston.com. And if you've got a corporation with debt that you want to sell to me, it's KevinJJohnston.biz, B-I-Z. All right, let's go over to the YouTube chat room here. All right, so Chantal, okay, so Chantal, you've asked like 6 questions there, but I don't know what the solid question is. Go ahead and re-ask it, please, and I will absolutely get a hold of you. By the way, if anybody wants to reach me, do not contact me through DMs on any social media. I don't have time. I mean, I am hiring someone for that job, by the way. So if there's anyone out there who wants to just sit and reply to messages all day, now hiring, but you have to be here in Panama because I don't want to do remote work on something like that. There's going to be a lot of really interesting things that pop up in there, stuff that we're going to have to address right away. So I would need you to be in Panama in my office with me. If that interests you, start applying at KevinJJohnston.com. Guys, I would love to be able to go into Facebook and read all my messages there. I would love to go into Instagram and Kik and TikTok and YouTube and all of them and answer, but I don't have time. So what I need to do is I have to parse my day up here, and I only give my time and attention to those who follow my instructions. My instructions are go to my website, please. Best way to reach me. If someone's on disability but can still work a bit, How can you pay them over their amounts? Well, Sherry, if they're not on T4, somebody on disability can make as much cash as they want. But if they are on disability and the employer is a loser and a crybaby, he's afraid of the CRA, then you'll have to have medical write-offs, big ones. So anybody my age and up, I mean, I think I've told you all before, I've had major dislocations. I've got a fake knee. I'm partially blind in my left eye. I'm partially deaf in my left ear. I've had 33 broken bones, dislocated twice, dislocated once, 6 times for this, 5 times for this. I mean, my injuries have been ridiculous. I've got scar tissue everywhere. And I can't pull my arms behind my back. So you guys remember when the RCMP wanted to arrest me for not putting on a mask? And they kept trying to get my arms to go back. And they said, stop resisting. And I told them, guys, there's too much scar tissue. Those arms are not going to go back. They had to click 3 sets of handcuffs together to get my arms behind my back. It's true. I can't. I can't do it. The injuries I've had are nuts. So for me to have between $25,000 and $50,000 a year of therapy would be normal. Absolutely would be normal. And same with any of you who have any injuries. I'm not complaining about my injuries, by the way. I'm just saying all of us have something that we need help with, whether it's psychological help, whether it is physiotherapy, whether it is surgeries, all of it. Anything that you get done outside the country, we can write that off. So your friend there, we can put a ton of medical expenses in and he'll be fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for anyone who was chatting with Randy, and he's our coder and our main guy when it comes to the AI systems. Randy had a very big bout of bad luck. He is still in the hospital. He's been there for 6 days. And we're all pulling for him. The hospital wasn't sure what was wrong with him. They finally figured that out. We're hoping to get him home within the next week or so. So if anyone was talking to Randy, you're going to unfortunately have to talk to me. All right. So whatever you're talking to Randy about on the website or in general, please do get a hold of me on my website and I'll pick up the slack until Randy is back. I feel horrible for the guy. What happened was pretty rough. It was really rough. All right. User 85. How long after you resign as director are you no longer liable? According to CRA policy, it's 2 years. According to the law, it's 6 months. That's why we do the share sales. I buy your corporations so that we don't have to waste our time trying to get the CRA to disappear and leave you alone for 2 years so that you can remove yourself, because they don't care. They don't care. They will break their own policies whenever they want. So let's just, you guys, if you got corporate debt, sell it to me and everything is going to be fine. How do you get rid of the CERB debt? I've covered that one on a lot of shows in the past, everybody. The CERB debt is something that I do with legal letters to the CRA. There's a series of 5, sometimes 6 letters that go in. I need a little bit of cooperation from you to get that to work. It's $950 to get rid of your CERB debt. Oh, hold on a second. I just realized something. My goodness gracious me. We're only at 16,700 likes. Can we get everybody on TikTok going double fingers right now? Let's get the hearts going up the right side of the screen here. We should be at 100,000 likes right now. Let's just rifle through and everyone share. If you're not yet following or subscribed, please do so. Let's get that rocking, everybody. This information needs to be in everybody's hands. How do I remove myself as a director of a corporation? Every province has, except for Alberta, you can log into the provincial website with it's called a corporate key. It's just a user ID and a password. And you can remove yourself as director on the website. If you're in the 3 territories, then you just simply email the corporate branches up there and they'll do it for you. They're actually very efficient at it. It takes less than a day to get yourself removed in any of the 3 territories up north. And in Alberta, you have to go to the registry, any of the registries in any city, and do it there. If we open a new corp and don't file taxes, do we still charge and file HST on services? Charge HST, keep it. Shh, my gift to you. There you go. Overtaxed Canadian. I'm here. Are you still buying my corp? Yes. Let's you and I talk. Go to my website right now. Just put overtaxed Canadian. I remember you. Good looking guy. Throw your phone number into my website, I'm going to call you right after the show. We'll get that thing dealt with. Absolutely. Again, I do apologize. Randy's been out of commission for quite some time. User 605, sole proprietorship is in big trouble. Tried to make an appointment. All right. For sole proprietorships, everyone, they're a really bad idea because they're connected directly to your social insurance number. I only use those. I only ever recommend that you guys register one when I got to get your taxes back on RRSPs. And I'll explain that if any of you want to hire me to get RRSP taxes back. So we got to make sure that with your sole proprietorship here, if it has a valid GST or HST number, then I can run it like a business for you and do massive expenses. Like I need to know every penny that you've paid, and we can kill the tax debt. And then you have to shut the sole proprietorship down and the GST or HST number down. Never, never, never use proprietorships. And accountants who tell you it's a good idea are idiots. Don't do business with them. Ghost producer. Wait, he'll buy a corporation with debt. Yes, ghost producer. GST, payroll, income tax, CBA loans, bank loans, credit cards, municipal fines, lawsuits, any debt the corporation has that's not personally secured. I buy your corporation. I take all of your debt. Every penny of debt is mine because it's a full-fledged share sale. There's nothing they can do about it at all. All right, I'm just having a look at more questions here. If I start a new corp and list multiple directors, when I go to the bank and open up an account, will they ask for all the directors to sign? No, just one director. Or depending on the bank, you can send a paralegal or a lawyer in to open the bank account for you. Or you can go to something like Coho or Tangerine and open up a business account there online. You do that, no problem. How do I get my employer to pay me with no deductions? Negotiations. It's all about negotiations. Typically, folks, it's how you sell it. If you go in there and say, listen, boss, I just talked to this really good tax guy, and he's saying that I can save this much, and you can save this much if I invoice you as opposed to being on payroll. And if you invoice the guy, you'll be saving the employer about $5,800 per year for you, just for you. It's a lot of money. 10 people working, no longer on payroll, $5,800, $58,000, per year the employer is saving. It's all about negotiation, and always play to someone's greed. Hey, boss, I got a plan to save you some money here. So negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. What is my website? KevinJJohnston.com. My name, Kevin, middle initial J, last name JOHNSTON.com. So Top C says, how do I book online when nothing's available? What you could do is give us a point form of your tax problems. Look, folks, I know that I'm booked all the way into October now. It's crazy. But what I'm going to start doing, and we're going to start doing this at the end of July, is we're going to have larger groups of people coming in for mass consultations. Because the vast majority of folks who do book consultations with me, the tax problems are pretty much the same. We've had maybe in the last month or so, we've had 2 unique tax problems. Everyone else's tax problems are quite standard. So what happens here is in some cases, people will tell me a story, but they get through it in 5 minutes and the consultation's over in 10 minutes, but they've booked a whole hour. Now, I'm not charging a whole hour and only doing 10 minutes. So I will credit the time towards your invoice when we decide that we're going to do your taxes. But knowing now that so many people are having the same issues that I could rifle through in 10 minutes, we're going to start having 100 people come in to a private consultation. It'll be longer. It'll be like 3 hours. You can stay. Everyone can ask questions, and then we'll be able to get through a whole lot more, a whole lot faster. So that's coming. We're going to keep evolving the way that we do things to accommodate as many people as possible. Let me just check the Rumble room. Holy smoke, Rumble lit up tonight. I thought you'd all be watching the hockey game tonight. I don't care either. I truly don't. Worldfish. Kevin, this is Warner from Thailand. A couple of questions about CERB debt. How many times have you had clients have to go to court? 0, because they've always given up. The CRA always gives up. Not once have we had to go to court with that one. The original DK question, can you get money from redoing your taxes over the past 10, 20 years? Also, I believe you did a video on getting taxes back from parents who passed away. The answer is yes, yes, and yes. We can go back 10 to 20 years on you and at least 10 years on a dead relative or loved one. Because all we do is send a letter into the CRA, letting them know that the estate is not yet closed. And in order to close the estate, we have to do the taxes. Question, if you open a Questrade account for trading and ask for a SIN number, can you use a SIN generator? Sure, why not? I don't know if Questrade is going to check the validity of it, but if you're going to use the generator, remember everybody that there are rules to the way the social insurance number works. Like if you're in Ontario or born there, it starts with a 4. Understand that. So if you're an Ontario resident, then you want to make sure that it generates a SIN number with a 4 at the beginning. And then write that number down because that's going to be your new online SIN number. It's not illegal. It's you're allowed to identify as SIN number whatever. And due to privacy constraints, you also are not obligated to share that information with anyone. So don't. Question, is it advisable to use a lawyer for any valid reason when selling a business as the seller, especially for receiving the proceeds of the sale in trust? Will they hold back tax? God, that's the best question we've had in like a month. Evita, lawyers in Canada, they're going broke. So they're working for the Crown and they're working for the CRA now. We've had a few clients just break down crying because their houses sell and the real estate agent's lawyer holds the funds in trust and then pays the CRA and pays creditors without permission. So you're losing all the proceeds on your home to these institutions, and the lawyer is supposed to be working for you. So we had no choice. Now what I do is I've got a company that I opened up, another one, specifically for this purpose. So when it comes to you getting paid, what will happen here is even if you owe the bank money, the whole check for your house certified comes to my corporation. It sits in my account. And then what we do is I pay you. I don't pay any creditors, even if there's a court order. Why? Because I'm not under the jurisdiction of Canada Tax Court, and I'm not under the jurisdiction of family court in Canada. I am not the one who's on that list, period. So I will not be cooperating with any of it. Then what I have to do is I got to hold back the mortgage amount that you owe, but we can, at that particular point, renegotiate the mortgage with the bank, perhaps. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And that's how that works. So don't ever use lawyers. We opened this new business up specifically to avoid what lawyers are doing. Yes, Evita, that's exactly what's happening. Lawyers are stealing people's money and giving it to whoever asks for it, even without a court order. Question. How did you make a personal pension in Canada to get your retirement visa in Panama? Chopped liver, I can't talk about that one publicly, but I can talk about that one privately. All right. Advocate of Awesome says, I emailed you through the site regarding family business and organization. Need to touch base. Thank you for doing that. We will get back to you at some point within the next 24 hours. All right. There we go. That's how that works. Twin City Chuck, question. I had a consult in May. .biz site doesn't work for you. Chuck, are you selling a corporation? Because if you are, you can just use the contact form on the website, KevinJJohnston.com, and just mark down all the debts that your corporation has. Carl V, question. When moving ownership of the house into a numbered corporation, do you typically need the lender's permission for changing the arrangement? No, because the lien is on the property, and the property can go wherever it wants, period. So long as you keep the mortgage up to date, stay in good standing, don't miss payments, and you're gonna be just fine. Remember, folks, permission. We don't ask for permission. We beg for forgiveness. Well, we don't beg. We demand forgiveness is what we do. And we never ask permission. I'm not asking anyone's permission to do anything. I just do it. And if there's an objection, I just tell them, file a court order. There we go. Tracy, I'm on federal disability. Apparently, I can top up now to $7,100 per year. Should I work for cash? Everybody who can work for cash should work for cash. If you're going to work on contract, have a corporation and write invoices. If you're going to be on T4, then we have to up your medical expenses to wipe out the entire T4. Looking at more of your questions. How to put a house in a corporation and remove me as a director and pass and sell the property later. It doesn't matter who the director is. Director in Canada, the director doesn't direct. The director is who the CRA will contact for money. That's it. The director is not even a figurehead. Whenever I write corporate bylaws for any of my clients who register numbered corporations or named corporations, it always states that the director has no voting rights. That's correct. The director doesn't vote. The director cannot make decisions. The director is only a figurehead for the purposes of having his name on a business card. And that's it. So when the CRA is asking Peter Parker or Clark Kent for money, well, they'll be waiting a while because you're the shareholder, not the director. And the shareholder, you are not obligated to tell the CRA or the province in which you do business who the shareholders are. It's an optional form, which is voluntary. So we are not going to be voluntarily telling anyone how to hurt us anymore. Is there a waiting list to get a consult with me? Yes, Michelle. As I found out earlier today, I'm booked until October. But like I'm saying, a lot of these consultations, they end up going, like, they're really short. So Michelle, if you could please just go to my website, give me point form, what the tax problem is. If it's a conversation that I think that we can have in 15 minutes or less, then I can simply get you a 15-minute time slot. We'll do it that way. All right. Thank you so much. Danny Dem, if I'm a sole proprietor, then I'm stuck paying income tax. It's not voluntary because it's attached to your SIN number. Well, Danny Dem, when you do a tax return, that's when you're snitching on yourself. If you've got a sole proprietorship and you file like $6,000, then you don't pay tax. The first $13,800 in Canada are not taxable. You don't tax them. They can't tax them. It's the law. So that's how you get around that. But it's always best to have a corporation and then dissolve the sole proprietorship once the corporation is in place. Leslie, my son works for my landscaping company. Should he stay on the books or should we pay him cash? All right, good question. And here's the perfect answer. There's only one advantage to any of you ever in this lifetime declaring income on a T4. And that would be is if you want to go and get a bank loan from a federally chartered bank. If you're not going to go to a private lender, you go to a bank, they'll want to see your tax returns. Now, there is a way around that. That's going to be a full show at some point in the future. So if you don't want your son to be on payroll and doing all those deductions, plus you have to do corporate matching, which is an additional $5,800 per person per year, then you could pay him cash or get him to open up a corporation and his corporation invoices yours. And then that way you write off everything that you pay him. That's the one way to do it. Now, this is a trick. You didn't hear this from me. This is how crazy and stupid and bizarre the income tax acts are. Your pension is going to be based not on how much money you give the CRA, but how much you put on your tax returns. So if you're 18 and you put down your entire life $3 million a year, but you never pay them, and you go bankrupt when you're 65, what's 3 million times 40 something years? Your Canada pension plan is going to be freaking huge. Huge. Go bankrupt, they have to pay the CPP based on what you said you made, not on what you actually paid them. Isn't that crazy? They don't teach you this stuff in school. I mean, if I was going to be a high school teacher right now, that's the first thing I would tell every kid. Never have a personal bank account. Never have a house or a car in your name. Don't put any ventures in your name whatsoever. Do everything through corporations and put your salary down at $3 million a year. Forever. just until you retire and collect a massive pension when you are older. It's mental how the system works. All right. The AJ, could you please send me an email through the website? Just put your name, AJ, in the subject line, and that way we can get to that one. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. Let me get caught up here on some of your questions. What does it cost for me to buy a corporation that has debt? I pay $1 Canadian for your corporation. I get everything, assets and all your debts and all your liabilities and all of your lawsuits. All of it comes over to me. You buy everything back from me for 10% of the value of your entire debt. So if you owe $500,000, you pay me $50K. You don't pay the CRA the other $450. You get to start over the day we sign the deal. That's how it works. Can a CEBA loan be forgiven? If it's under a corporation, sell the corporation to me and it goes bye-bye. The CRA right now is not forgiving anyone. Peepa says, file bankruptcy and declare a massive income. Well, from age 18 to 65, you could declare 3 million, maybe even 10 million bucks a year in earnings, and then declare bankruptcy after age 65, and then go and collect your CPP based on your $3 million earnings. I mean, you got to have patience. That's 45 years of doing the same paperwork over and over again, but it'd be worth it. Can I open a personal or corporate account without a SIN number? Sorry, we're talking bank accounts, personal accounts. I think so. I've opened bank accounts all over the country. I've only been asked for SIN numbers twice. I think it all depends on the institution. Maybe make a phone call in advance and find out what they want. Ghost producer, what if taxes never filed for the corporation for 10 years operating? Can I book you urgently to discuss? Okay, ghost producer, go to my website, put ghost producer in the subject line, please. I'll remember this conversation. Point form what the problem is, and I'll get back to you ASAP. How do I incorporate my house and having a mortgage with TD? You're on title, number corporation. We add it to title. A month later, remove you. That's it. That's it. There's no science. It's just paperwork. That's all that it is. How do I feel about investing in REITs? Well, I only invest in property where I know I'm going to make money. I invest in gold and silver, not to turn profit, but just to retain wealth. That's it. So for me, I'm always looking 10 years down the road. I'm not looking for quick cash today. I'm looking to invest knowing that if I put $1 million into something today, it's worth 25 then. So gold and silver for me is all about wealth protection. But crypto and property is what I'm into big time. I do not do venture capital. I am not the slightest bit interested in investing in anybody's crazy ideas. I have zero interest in investing in green energy. I'm not even playing the stock market anymore. I'm done with that. Crypto, as far as I'm concerned, is where it's at. And so is property. With real estate, you can't go wrong. And the way it's crazy how the world works. Like Toronto, Southern Ontario right now, everything's dropping in price. Not rapidly, but enough that you're noticing it. And as a result, Alberta's property values are going up. Panama's property values are going up. Mexico's property values are going down. Why? They installed a ridiculous, far left-wing, maniacal, idiotic, moronic, communist, Marxist president. And people just picked up and left. So property values there are dropping. You got to pay attention to politics to know where to invest. And it also matters that you know when to get out. I would believe, honestly, that if you bought a house right now in a good neighborhood in the city of Calgary, as an example, I do believe you're going to get a 6% increase in value for at least the next 5 to 8 years. That's not bad. That is not bad. If you do it in Toronto, first off, you can't afford it. And secondly, it's going to drop. You're going to probably lose 6 to 20% a year. The markets are going down. Vancouver, same thing. They built way too many condos, way too fast. They're shoddy at best. I've been inside of a lot of them. They're junk. The floor plans are awful. It doesn't matter that you've got floor to ceiling windows in a condominium when the floor plan doesn't make any sense and when the building sucks. And that's what Vancouver did. They built a whole bunch of garbage. So naturally, that condo market is going to tank. You always got to look and see where the money is. Nicaragua, terrible investment right now. El Salvador, fantastic investment right now. Honduras and Belize and Guatemala, junk. Wouldn't put a penny into them. No way to make money on that. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that. Daily Wisdom. I want to sell you my corporation with debt. Get a hold of me right now. My name, KevinJJohnston.biz, B-I-Z. And that is where you can fill out the form to sell me your corporation. The most important thing is I know what your debts are, and so that I know what I'm up against when I take it over. Freeman, if you're removing yourself as director, do we still have to do an annual filing? Hell no. Why would you do that? Why would you do a filing at all? You open up a brand new corporation. I told you guys 1,000 times. Absolutely not. You do not do your first tax return. Ergo, you do not ever have to pay tax. Period. Corporations, use them to protect yourself and keep what you make. Warrior Princess, what about student loans? All right, in a bankruptcy, a student loan can disappear. Student loans can always be negotiated. Don't go bankrupt, by the way. It's not a suggestion. That's just the way that it works. Bankruptcy is the absolute last possible option out there. Bankruptcy does not solve as many problems as you think it does. Student loans can be negotiated. Now, the other thing that you can do is, so long as you have no assets, you can sue the school and OSAP or whichever province loaned you the money for fraud. Because if you go to school and get a degree and you can't find a job in your field, that is something where you can hit them for tort fraud. So like your student loan's probably what, $60,000, $70,000? Sue them for $10 million. Watch how quickly they wipe out the student loan. I said earlier in the show, be a son on a beach, be a monster, be a monster, be mean, be cold, be cruel. I am hyper successful now because I treat everybody who works for the Canadian government like garbage. They are garbage, all of them. I treat them as such, and I treat them as such on behalf of my clients, the good people who actually do something for society. So same thing with yourself. Be mean. Go after the school and go after OSAP. I'm just checking out some of your questions here. I wasn't able to finish school because some girl caused problems with me. Tort harassment. Sue her for tort harassment. That's the law that I got created in the province of Alberta, which is now national case law. All right? National case law. So I deliberately lost a lawsuit knowing that the lawyer, the loser, M. Mark Jackson, the guy's a freak. We knew that he wanted to create a tort harassment law. So I defended myself really half-assed and I lost the case. Although it took the judge 3 weeks to be able to find a way to make me lose, you can sue her for tort harassment. There we go. MK, question. I need to prove my ex-husband claimed my children in the previous. No, you don't have to prove a goddamn thing. Who told you that? You don't have to prove anything. Here's the thing. Do you know how stupid the system is? Let's talk about it. If all of you out there wanted to make an additional $950 a month, all you'd have to do is claim you got kids. Remember how the law works in Canada now? I identify as a man with 11 children. That's all it would take. Now you can put down 11 kids on your tax return. I shouted at the CRA. What I'm about to say is very nasty, so some of you could go la, 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 la if you don't want to hear it. But I had this obnoxious woman call me from the CRA saying, we need to discuss your client. We realize she has 3 children. So if you say so. I'm not answering questions, by the way, so if you say so. Well, we need to get their birth certificates and their full names and their dates of birth and everything about them. And that's when I barked out. Why? Why? Because you're a pedophile? Because you want to give all this information over to Justin Trudeau and all of his freak friends so they can do things to these kids and sell them to China or any other country to be sex slaves? Is that why? Because you're a pedo? You work with pedos. That's what you are, aren't you? Yeah. I just kept going on this. Like I just kept yelling at her in this way. And she's pretty much on the phone crying, almost. That's not what I meant. I'm just doing my job, sir. I'm just doing my job. Good. Then stop asking about people's kids, pedo, and don't ever call me again about this issue. You're not getting the information. That was the end of it. It ended there. My client is getting her child tax benefit credits. So MK, no. Who cares what the CRA asks for? They're just a bunch of losers. You do not do what losers say. If anyone works for the Canadian government, they are a loser. They would never survive in the private sector. Losers be damned. Tell them no, absolutely not. I don't give any information about my children to perverts like you. Shout at them, scream, yell, get the look on your face. Do not divulge information about your children, everybody. We live in a sick world. It's getting sicker by the day. Superstar, question, if I work for someone, how do I get them to stop taking taxes? Negotiate with them. Tell them, I don't want it to be on payroll. I would much rather invoice you. If they say no, ask them why. Get some answers, and then maybe come back, broach the subject every week. You know, the squeaky wheel does get the grease. If you keep asking someone who's not prepared to say F off, then just keep bothering them until you get what you want. It doesn't work on me. So, you know, if you're going to call me 7 or 8 times to try to get my attention, I'm going to block your number and tell you get lost. But it works with everybody else. So needle your boss until you get what you want. Okay, disability, we've answered that one. Just checking some more questions here. When you work for cash, what happens to your EI and CPP in retirement? Oh, you mean the $887 per month you would get? You mean that? Oh, you don't get it, right? But let's say, I'm going to bring up my calculator here. Let's do something here. $50,000 a year. Let's just say you made that and you never paid tax on it ever again. And let's say you did that for 20 years. It's $1 million. Your life expenses would be about 1/3 of that. So times 0.66. That's $660,000 you would have just making $50K a year if you have 1/3 of that as your living expenses and you don't pay tax. Who cares about CPP? Hopefully you've invested that money and it's growing for you. That's where it's a weird thing, everyone. I don't get this pension. I want a pension. Do you know what that mindset is? I don't respect the pension thing because that's you or anyone else out there saying, I can't wait to sit on my ass and do nothing. Who thinks like that? Really? Who thinks like that? Look at William Shatner. 93 years old. He's still every day touring all over the world, doing shows. He still does comic book conventions. Look at Mel Brooks, 93 years old. They're filming Spaceballs 2 right now. I salute people who don't retire. Don't look for a pension. Look for a way to always be better. You know, even in your 90s, there's still new stuff that you can learn and contribute. I know there's considerably fewer days ahead than there are behind in your 90s, but don't think about pension. Stop thinking that way. Stop thinking that it's all roses. If you're going to go live on a beach somewhere, like, can you do it? Could you wake up every day living on a resort and getting some wristband and eating 4,000 calories for breakfast, drinking alcohol all day, going on the beach, realizing, you know what, I'm not hungry, but I'm going to get more food anyway because it's all inclusive. I'm going to drink more liquor and I'm going to do nothing. It's got a water slide. I'm going to ride the water slide. I'm going to go swim in the pool. And now I'm going to golf. And then what? And that's the thing I just don't get. What? Whenever I do take a day off, which is not very often, I go to the beach. I usually get to the beach before 8 a.m. because the sun comes up at 6 here. And I'll hang on the beach as long as I possibly can. It gets dark. I go and grab a meal and relax, have some good conversation with some good people, maybe have a pina colada, maybe have something, and then crash, jump in a car and head back to work the very next day. A day on the beach is more than enough for me. I couldn't do it every day. So I want all of you out there to just stop thinking about this pension crap. It's crap. Start thinking about investments, Bitcoin, XRP, gold, silver, property, ventures. Find something to occupy your time. By the time you're 60 years of age, you should be an expert in something. Even if your body can't do the work anymore, you still know your stuff. Teach, make money, invest. Your pension should be your investments, not Canada pension plan. I had this argument with my mother. I told her when I was young, I said, Ma, I think you're out of your mind. I think you're cuckoo paying all these taxes. I'm not doing it. Oh, son, you're not going to get a pension. You have to do it. It's the government. You want your pension. So she called me up saying, oh, she got her first pension check. I said, yeah. Hold on. Don't open it. I'm going to go get a bottle of wine for you. And I shot over to her house, said, okay, Ma, here's your wine. Here's some cookies. Open it. Let me see it. And she opened it up. It was $970. And I started laughing like, there you go. $970. Now, I kept all of my money as I was making it, and you paid all your money out, and look what you just got. Is it worth it? Hey, who was right, me or you? All right. So she starts crying because I'm gloating. I couldn't resist, though. I mean, come on. She told me for 40 years that she was right and I was wrong. And it turns out that she was wrong the entire time. And she paid the price and was at not an age, at a mindset where she could no longer change what she was doing because she accepted her fate as a retiree at that age. And she accepted 970 as this is as good as life is ever going to get. I love my mother. Okay. My mother, sweet lady. And she's my mother. Of course I love my mother. Whenever she was old, she would call me up and say, I can't shovel the driveway. No problem. Boom, gone. Yeah. My brother and I shovel everything, clean everything up, sit down, have some tea and some coffee and have a chat. It's my mom, but she knew nothing about business and was shocked when she saw $970 as a pension. So if you make $100,000 a year, your pension, maybe $1,000 a month. That's what? It's $12,000 a year. What if you bought $12,000 every couple of months in Bitcoin and just sit on it? I mean, it's worth what? $140,000 Canadian today? I bought it when it was $25,000. Even that was too late. Holy crap, guys. Come on. Start thinking about how to be better. Never accept the status quo. And that maybe should be slide number 11 for tonight's show. How to be rich in Canada? Stop being average. Stop thinking average. Stop thinking like the status quo is something to be proud of and something to aspire to. It is not something to aspire to. The status quo is repugnant. It is repulsive. It is slow. It is worthless. It turns you into a useless individual. So the hell with Canada Pension Plan. Make all your money now and invest it. Dimax says, I used EI while working to be able to keep the roof over my head, and now they keep threatening me. So what you got to do is you got to threaten them back. There's a bunch of legal documentation that I will send into them to tell them to leave you alone. Because if they say they want it back, they have to prove to you. You don't have to prove to them you deserved it. They have to prove you didn't. Because we have a voluntary reporting system in Canada. So whatever you report, you voluntarily told them that. They don't have to believe you, but they can't make you prove it. So you got to get tough. Become a prick. Why don't you get into business helping professional athletes playing in Canada with tax? We're kind of starting that now, but I have to make sure it's legal. I've got a plan for pro athletes. I really do. It's a good one. Remember, I talked about the fact that I've got a criminal lawyer on retainer. I told him the whole plan. I told him, now, with everything I just presented, I made like a 45-minute presentation to him. Now that you've seen this presentation, I need you to take a month and find a way to make it illegal. If he comes back saying nothing illegal here, then we're going to be chasing that market. Because pro athletes, they make money. And I like money. I think all of us do. Life with EXO. I have a few questions for you. How do I get in contact? Never through social media. Always through my website, KevinJJohnston.com. Top right corner will be the contact link. Please use that. And give me, don't just say, hi, my name is, I need your help. Don't do that. Point form. Not this, not a novel. Point form, this, what the problem is. And I can get to you a lot faster. Can I open a corporation in the United States and use it to trade crypto? Yep, of course you can. Do it in Wyoming. It's only $95 to register a corporation there. Do you do people's taxes from Toronto? Yeah, the whole country. And even Canadians who live abroad, we do their taxes. Absolutely. 100% we do. Did you buy XRPs you mentioned last week? I bought $80,000 in XRP. $82,500. Just XRP. Yep. That's exactly what I did. In crypto, what's some of your favorite other than Bitcoin? XRP. Solana is great because the network it runs on is fantastic. And a lot of businessmen are using it now. Solana is, I think, $230 per coin currently. I take, if it's not a junk coin, I will take it. I mean, even things like Dogecoin and Litecoin and whatnot, I'll take. I don't love them, but I will take them. I mean, one of our clients was struggling. I get it. A lot of people are struggling. He couldn't pay his whole bill, but he was able to pay his bill in some XRP, some Bitcoin, some Ethereum. He had some USDT. He had a whole bunch. So we just helped him out and took little bits of it here and there. I'm not a stickler. It doesn't have to be cash. In fact, if all of you were to pay your bills in Bitcoin or XRP, I would prefer that. And I give 10% discounts regardless of the size of the invoice if you pay in crypto. Okay, there you are. The 10% pertains to Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and USDT and USDC. Both. Thank you. BMW, want to talk to me privately? Website, please. It's the only way. Michelle, thank you for doing that. What's wrong with Belize? Nothing's wrong with Belize, Craig. It's just that it doesn't have any industry. It's a very small country. And the capital city, I believe there's a new capital now, but Belize City it's pretty rough and tumble. And people there are broke because it doesn't have any industry. So the crime rate is going up based on desperation. They're not bad people. They're hungry people. They're desperate people. What would you do for money inside of Belize? And that's the big question I always have to ask. What does one do to make money in the country that they're now planning on living in? And in Belize, I don't know, hotels, but Mexico and Costa Rica right now are the only ones doing all the advertising. So people just go there because they see billboards and magazine ads. I wish Panama and El Salvador were advertising right now. They should be. But countries that don't advertise don't get people going, and countries that don't focus on infrastructure and industry have no economies. That's all. I mean, I will go to Belize to surf because it's got some of the best surfing in North America, but I can't imagine doing much more there. Kev, do you want to buy my house in Southern Ontario? It's yours for $865. Oh man. Do I want an Ontario house? I really don't know if I want an Ontario house. Give me the details on the house. Let me see what just for curiosity's sake, throw me the MLS listing on my website, please. Oh, Warrior Princess, you're saying your student loan was 2011. Okay. So the tort harassment for that chick bugging you, no. But if you're getting phone calls about the student loan today, the 2 years that you get to file the lawsuit always starts from the last contact from the creditor. So if they called you last week, you got 2 years from last week to file a lawsuit, and I highly recommend that you do. When you mention renting a property as a corporation and a tenant as a corporation, what's the benefit for the renter? Okay, let me just be honest here. I don't give a shit about the renter at all. I don't. I care about my client. My client won't be the renter. My client will be the owner of the house. I care about my clients. I help my clients win. In the contract, it's very simple. You cannot get tossed out for no reason whatsoever. You get tossed out for breaking the rules that you agree upon. If you're smoking inside the house, you'll get turfed. If you let the grass grow and you're a pig outside and your dog craps all over the place, you don't clean it, that's grounds to get kicked out. You're late on your rent, you get kicked out. You drive your car because you're drunk through the garage door, you get kicked out. Renters should not be protected from aberrant behavior at all. I've seen the end result of some renters. You know, when people start moving out of houses, especially if you got some drug-fueled, alcohol-fueled guy who pumps iron, too much testosterone, and no brains, they'll challenge each other to punch holes in the drywall and stuff. I've seen stupid crap. One of the guys I used to hang around with, I don't hang around this guy anymore. I mean, I haven't for 30 years, but he rented a place right downtown Toronto beside the Greenwood racetrack. And what does he do in the last night that he's there? Boom, boom, smashing his forehead into the drywall to break it. Now, it was a really old house, so it wasn't drywall. It was little wooden shakes with plaster. People do stupid crap. So people that treat properties like that are not theirs should not be protected by a contract at all. So I'll repeat myself. I don't care. If it's not my client, it's not my problem. Raw Health, shoot me a quick email, please. Dimax says, they said they'll take 110% of my money from my paycheck directly because I used EI while working. Again, they have to prove that to you. They have to prove you were working while collecting EI. Do they have any evidence to that? Did you snitch on yourself? I mean, there's a lot that I would need to know and unpack before I can give you an answer on that. But the onus is on them to prove it, but you have to force them to prove it, and you have to threaten them with litigation and fraud charges and so on. And that's when they back down. Ride's dad, I'm the guy that wants to come to Panama and do business. All right, bro, let me know. The only days I cannot would be Mondays and Tuesdays, because Mondays are like 14, 15 clients a day, and Tuesdays are the show. We do a lot of research for the show, and we see a lot of clients on Tuesdays. So during the week, we could probably hook something up there. Yes, people, you can book a session with me in Panama. How about tax evasion? Can we get in trouble for it? All right, that's a good question. It's going to be the last one I field for the night. The CRA was bragging in February of this year, stating that they got their 52nd conviction for income tax evasion. I did some research. It's 52 convictions out of 200 million tax returns. I read all 52 cases. None of the criminal charges were filed by the CRA. None. They were filed by other police departments out there who had complaints registered against the perpetrators who had committed crimes. The CRA took credit for these. And then I read further, none of them went to trial. None went to trial. Everybody took a plea deal, which means no precedent got set whatsoever. The CRA took credit for the work of the police. Nobody in Canada in the last 5 years has gone to prison for income tax evasion. That is a myth. The CRA likes to talk about that, but you always have to read the case and see what the actual real facts are on that. Robbie Bobby, thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, so Ride's dad, if you want to get an appointment with me in Panama City, use my website. In the subject line, put down, want appointment in Panama City. We will get that. George, I owe 5 years of GST taxes. How can I get my appointment? I'm in British Columbia. Same as everybody else. Go to my website, give me this much, point form, what the tax problem is, all your contact information, and we'll do what we can as quickly as we possibly can. Am I providing courses? Yes, everyone's been asking for courses. We are going to be providing tax courses. In fact, we would like to have a bigger team than we have now, so there will be people that want to learn. I'll be doing courses down here in Panama. We're hoping to do them in November, when that's considered Panamanian summer, where the weather is going to be parfait. And I'll keep everyone posted on that. All right, everyone. I want to say thank you very much for being here. I got to cut the transmission now on Rumble and everything else. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. My name is KevinJJohnston. I am Canada's #1 tax consultant, #1 tax guy. Anybody who did not have your questions answered tonight, please just use the website if you could. And I'll be doing this again next week. This is the Tax and Money Show that runs every single Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, live right here on freedomreport.ca. Let's keep your money where it belongs, and that is in your pocket. I love you all, and good night.